I'd like to call this meeting of Brick Township Council to order. Madam Clerk.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on January 7, 2020. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspapers posted on public bulletin boards in the Township website.
Thank you. At this time, can we have roll call?
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
We can't hear Lynette.
I know, I'm going to say your name. Councilwoman Zapsik.
Here.
Councilman Menachino.
Councilman Menachino.
Here.
Councilwoman Dion.
Here.
Councilman Muddalo.
Here.
Councilwoman Ponferrero. Councilwoman Ponferrero. She's here. I can hear her. I heard her say here.
Heard you, yes.
President Crate.
Council Vice President Halloran.
Here.
And I'm here. At this time, we'd like to salute the flag and have a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I get a motion in a second for approval of minutes from the February 11th and February 25th meeting?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Zapsik, second by Councilman Menachino. Roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Menachino.
Councilman Menachino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Muddalo.
Yes to February 11th, abstain February 25th.
Councilwoman Ponferrero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
And yes for me. At this time, I'm going to have the mayor say a few words.
Okay, everybody's probably wondering why we're doing this meeting, but it's by statute. The township needs to proceed with this meeting in order to introduce our budget. There was talk about extensions happening, but there was never any guidance that they definitely happened. The format that we're using for this meeting is obviously not what we usually do. We usually have people sitting in the audience, and it's a public meeting. But the format of this meeting is being held in accordance with the state guidelines for council meetings, which specifically allow for remote meetings when we're having emergency circumstances, such as we're in now. As we meet, so many of our residents and employees continue to work tirelessly to get us, to help get us through this crisis. And specifically, I just want to talk about some of them at the beginning of this meeting. It is definitely going to be brief, my comments at this point, just because we, have this kind of odd type of meeting happening, and it's not conducive to really a lot of talking. But our healthcare workers, our doctors, our nurses, the lab technicians, EMTs, pharmacists, physical therapists, nursing home and assisted living staffs, providers who care for people with disabilities who cannot care for themselves. The list of those healthcare workers go on and on. I'm not excluding anybody but by not including them. All healthcare workers. We have our frontline public safety personnel, including our police, our special police, our dispatchers, our security guards, as well as our essential service workers in the food industry, dedicated social service workers, making sure the most vulnerable residents are getting the help they need, our child care providers, delivery services, companies that provide cleaning services to those businesses that must remain open yet have to protect their customers, service workers who have to make repairs in people's homes regardless of the virus. Factory workers who are working around the clock manufacturing the tools for our first responders need to be safe, as well as the food that's and other products that people need in their houses. Teachers and all those who have completely readjusted their craft to an online forum. Parents whose lives have been turned upside down yet deal with this new norm with complete devotion to their children's best interests. And lastly, the municipal employees of Brick Township who never hesitated to continue to protect you, the residents, and provide every single essential service that we sometimes take for granted. And this is things like collecting our garbage and recycling, inspecting properties, answering questions, issuing permits, getting important vital statistics, and so many other things that go on here at Town Hall. People who respect, also thank you to all the people who are respecting the need for the social distancing and self-isolating. That's the only thing that's going to stop this from what all the experts say. And also a big thank you to all the residents and neighbors who say, how can I help? There are definitely people out there now, and will continue to be, people who don't have the opportunity to drive themselves to stores. Either they don't drive or they don't want to be in those types of crowds that the stores are allowing inside. And because they might have pre-existing conditions that would make them more susceptible. So those are the people that definitely, that we want to thank the residents and neighbors who say, how can I help those people? Because they're the ones who are going to need our help. A lot of people are going to need our help, and thank you for everybody who is volunteering at this point. And that's all I want to say about it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are up to ordinance on first reading 4.1. Madam Clerk?
Calendar year 2020 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-4514.
Okay, the explanation for that is this allows the township to establish a cap bank for future use. The ordinance allows for increases to budget appropriations and allows the township to bank any unused monetary room. This cap bank ordinance allows the township to increase budget appropriations by 3.5% over the prior year's appropriations and to bank any unused appropriation room for the next 2 succeeding years. The ordinance is simply precautionary. It is not funded through a tax increase, since it is only used in subsequent years should we need to fund a one-time expenditure. The monies available by this cap rate index ordinance may be used to offset costs of any future disasters and the need for any future emergency appropriation. We are not generating cash. We are creating the ability to raise money should we need it. If the funds are not needed in the succeeding 2 years, the bank is simply dissolved. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
Motion from Vice President Halloran, second from Councilwoman DeYoung. Open to council. Closed council.
Yes.
Roll call. Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
Yes, for me. And we are on to our budget presentations. Ms. Bergen?
Thank you, Council President Crate. I will start with the Division of Engineering. On behalf of Alyssa Cummins, our Township Engineer, she says thank you for your time this evening and allowing me on her behalf to provide a brief introduction to the Engineering Division and address items requested in the 2020 budget. In terms of background, the Engineering Department currently employs 5 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee, and 1 seasonal employee. The full-time staff includes 1 licensed professional engineers, 2 National Institute of Construction and Engineering Technology certified inspectors, an engineering permit inspection clerk, and a secretary. A part-time staff member assists with complaint investigations and utility inspection. The primary functions of the Division of Engineering are to establish and maintain public infrastructure, as well as coordinate private development within and adjacent to the township. Staff provide professional assistance to various township departments, as well as technical support for homeowners, business owners, realtors, and developers. Engineering is involved in the staff in the development and redevelopment of property from plan review to field inspections. Staff monitor the site construction and off-site improvements outside of a physical building envelope. Engineering serves as a liaison to implement the various divisions of the NJDEP rules and regulations with respect to local development, including but not limited to the Coastal Area Facilities Review Act, or CAFRA, freshwater wetland regulation, stormwater management, flood hazard areas, dredging and sediment technology, and solid and hazardous waste. The township engineer is also the designated floodplain manager responsible for compliance with the rules and requirements of the NFIP, which is the National Flood Insurance Program. Based on how well we comply with the NFIP regulations and guidelines, our citizens are provided a discount on their flood insurance premiums. Brick Township's community rating system is at a Class 6, which provides a 20% discount to those insured through the NFIP. Engineering also has an enforcement aspect to the division that may issue violation notices and summonses to those in violation of the Township's Code, Section 168, Engineering Permits and Standards, Sections 196, Flood Damage Prevention, and Section 245, Subdivision and Land Development. Most of the day-to-day operation of the Division of Engineering involves interaction with the public, including homeowners, business people, contractors, and licensed professionals. Their greatest efforts and goals moving into 2020 include maintaining and potentially improving the township status within the community rating system for discounted flood insurance premiums, assisting residents, realtors, and developers within the floodplain, coordinating with planning, construction, and zoning to ease the permitting and inspection process for homeowners and developers, continuing to improve coordination with Public Works for repairs and improvements to our existing infrastructure, and maximizing the capital funds available to the greatest extent practical. Developing a township-wide dredge management material master plan, developing a township-wide flood mitigation strategy, and educating the public on flood risk and preparedness. In terms of engineering operations, engineering salary and wage budget for 2020 is $200,000, which represents a 23% decrease from last year. The costs of the salary and wages for a given year are estimated. While salaries are fixed, the funds recouped from inspection chargebacks to escrow accounts and capital accounts will vary from year to year. Therefore, the actual staffing costs of the township fluctuate. We strive to keep our costs as low as possible. Our overtime budget for 2019 is $35,000, which is equal to last year's request. Overtime is necessary due to the volume of construction being done in the township and the completion of escrow inspections that are done outside of normal operating hours. Staff provide inspections as requested by contractors or the administration outside of the normal operating hours of the township, provided the overtime hours worked can be charged to escrow projects that can be billed for the associated cost. These chargebacks to the operating budget are reflected in the actual salary and wage line items and not shown as an offset to the overtime line items. The operating budget request is $161,425, which is a 1% increase from 2019, which is largely due to the requirement to pay for the various state and federal permits associated with regulated activities at the marina, Public Works yard, and facilities under construction in any given year. Additionally, the actual cost of the staff's various membership dues and license renewal fees increase, as do the state and federal permit fees. The majority of the engineering operating budget requested is in line 207, expert services. This is money that the department reserves to pay engineers, architects, or other professionals for services that cannot be capitalized, such as stormwater permitting, compliance, flood mapping appeals, ADA compliance consultation, sound studies, and general traffic consultations. If services are not required, these monies are not spent. The increases requested for the 2020 operating budget reflect the general increases in state permitting fees and requirements, as well as the increase in costs associated with required continuing educational requirements and specific renewals to biannual licenses and certifications that shall be required during the 2020 calendar year. The overall budget requests from the Division of Engineering represent a decrease of 18% for 2019. Alyssa has asked that I thank the Mayor and Council and the Business Administrator for their support and active participation in all of the projects and initiatives in her department.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we will open this up to questions from the council regarding the engineering presentation. Hearing none, close council. We will open it up to the public, but I'm making a request to the public, if you called in, that we are keeping this strictly to 5 minutes per person, and that you, if you have questions, that you state all of your questions up front so that Ms. Bergen can answer them. And if you have a comment, that it will remain within the 5-minute time frame. Because we don't have names available on our list, what I'll be doing is just asking people if your last name begins with the letter A, or what we don't do? Does that? You want to just see if does anybody have questions for engineering, regarding the engineering? Anyone that is from the public have questions regarding the engineering presentation? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the, what's next? Land use presentation. I just need 1 minute. Sure. She does. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Council President Crate. Sorry, I had to do some IT work in between my presentations there. So move on to the Division of Land Use. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, thanks. I'm presenting this on behalf of Tara Paxton, our Township Planner, who would like to say thank you to Mayor Ducey, Council President Crate, and the entire governing body, as well as our Business Administrator, for giving me this opportunity to present the budget for the Division of Land Use, which I will do on her behalf. On behalf of the employees in Land Use, they thank you for the support and assistance that the Mayor and Council has given them throughout the year. The Division of Land Use consists of the Planning Board, Zoning Office, GIS mapping, grant management, and general land use planning. In terms of the Planning Board, that Planning Board acts on development applications involving the subdivision of land or site plans for permitted uses. The Board Secretary processes the applications from beginning to end. The Board heard 21 cases in 2019, collected $45,300 in application fees and $123,119 in escrow fees. There were 2 denials and 20 approvals. The board has 1 secretary that manages both boards with a part-time assistant. In terms of the Zoning Board of Adjustment can also act on applications involving subdivisions and site plans, the same as the Planning Board. However, the Zoning Board acts primarily on variances involving individual residential undersized lots or proposed structures that don't meet the height or setback requirements. The Zoning Board also hears matters involving uses that are not permitted in a particular zone. In 2019, the board heard 52 cases, approved 50, denied 2, and many are yet to be decided. The board collected $30,550 in application fees and $237,126 in escrow fees. GIS mapping. Our GIS specialist works closely with the Brick Township Municipal Utilities Authority and the Township's consulting surveyor to keep the Township's computer mapping current. He also makes the annual revisions to our tax map sheets and creates maps for various departments such as police and recreation, working most closely with the mapping needs for land use and engineering. Our GIS specialist created and maintains all of the flood hazard area open space mapping and spreadsheets that were submitted and approved as a major component of our community rating system application and annual reapproval. This year, our GIS staff assisted in the Township's effort to create digital Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustment application forms, the maintenance of a CDBG program webpage on the Township's website, and continued updates to the official zoning map. In addition, the GIS staff has embarked on a large project involving a municipal-wide public access plan required by NJDEP to identify all of the publicly accessible waterfront areas of the town. In terms of planning, the planner serves as a professional to both the zoning and planning boards, providing reports and attending the meetings. The planner manages the land use division, serves on various township committees, prepares master plans, redevelopment plans, affordable housing plan, an update to the land use ordinance, manage and coordinate most township grants, deal regularly with the development community, and manages the administration of the township's CDBG program. The in-house administration of the CDBG program results in a combination of savings to the township and an increase of availability of funds to the public of close to $100,000 annually. 2 staff clerks assist in the management of the CDBG program, namely the Housing Rehabilitation Program and the Public Services Program. The Township awarded a $44,000 in public service grants, completed the Disabled American Veterans Building, ADA Improvement Project, and completed 67 housing rehabilitation projects administered by the Township staff, and just awarded 4 new single-family homeowner rehabilitation contracts this past month. This program continues to be administered by the Township and 2 outside agencies through Northern Ocean Habitat for Humanity, who completed 11 more housing rehabilitation projects, and Hands for All, who completed 7 emergency rehabilitation projects, totaling 85 rehabilitation projects completed to date. The Land Use Division continues to work hand in hand with the Divisions of Engineering and Building to ensure the Township's continued participation in the NFIP's Community Rating System program. In 2017, we entered into the CRS program at a Class 6 rating and are working hard to maintain our level of achievement. The result of the Class 6 rating was 20% savings on eligible flood insurance policies for BRIC residents that have been renewed since May of 2018. We received annual recertification in October of 2019. FEMA had estimated the total annual savings on flood insurance for BRIC's participating property owners at a little over $670,000. The land use staff manages a number of reports, studies, and activities that are necessary to accomplish annually to maintain active status in the CRS program, including the Floodplain Management Planning Committee and the annual review of this plan. The planning staff continues to work towards obtaining grant funding and implementing projects. We have worked closely with the Engineering and Parks Divisions to implement the redevelopment of Birchwood Park and Bernie Cook Memorial Park. We were awarded an additional $1 million for our multi-park grant to improve Bayside Park. In working with the BRIC Police Department, we received the second body-worn camera grant in the amount of $85,000 and continue to work with the BRIC Township School District to manage a $469,281 pass-through grant from the School Violence Prevention Program at the U.S. Department of Justice for the installation of security cameras and equipment by the BRIC Township School District. After the retirement of Michael Fowler and Sean Kniebe, we filled in some of our staffing needs with internal promotions and the hiring of an entry-level clerk position. We now have 7 full-time employees and 3 part-time employees, with 11 planning board members and 9 zoning board members. The land use budget for salary and wages decreased 12% from 2019. The requested overtime budget of $8,000 is $4,000 less than last year's request based on actual expenditures. Most overtime charges are made to the escrow accounts because they are related to planning board and zoning board cases. The land use operating budget request increased from $20,050 in 2019 to $20,300 this year. In 2020, we will continue to facilitate an increase in professional training for employees in land use and zoning courses offered by Rutgers University. Staff has continued cross-training to be able to assist and support the boards, planner, and zoning officer at the front counter when residents need assistance. The professional services line item remains the same to provide continued CRS recertification activities and master plan updates in concert with the engineering division for stormwater management planning. The other budgeted items primarily cover attendance at required training, dues, and printing services. That completes the land use budget report.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll open it up to council if they have any questions on the land use budget report. Hearing none, close council, and I will open it up to the public on questions regarding the land use report. I'm sorry. Opening it up to public on questions just on the land use report and budget. Okay, hearing none, close public, and we will move on to our next report, which is, I keep losing my spot here, zoning office.
Okay, one second. Thank you, Council President Crate. I'll move forward with the zoning office budget presentation on behalf of Chris Romano, our zoning officer. The zoning office processes applications for development that may or may not have required a board approval. Zoning applications can range from a request to build a 90-square-foot shed to the development of a major shopping center. The zoning officer looks for consistency with board approvals and the zoning code. terms of staff, we have 2 full-time employees, including our zoning officer and a zoning clerk. These salaries were included in the land use budget presentation. During Christopher's budget presentation last year, he pointed out the retirements of Sean Kenevi and Michael Fowler and how losing both of them left the office short 2 experienced staff members to assist during high volumes of resident inquiries. Last year, we requested funding in the training line item to accommodate cross-training of current employees that would greatly benefit the zoning office and the Division of Land Use as a whole. Christopher's happy to tell you that we were able to send a few employees for training, and that has greatly helped with the office's day-to-day function and coverage. The office now has backup personnel that can handle assisting the public, whether by walk-in or telephone. Christopher wants to thank the Mayor and Council for acknowledging the need for training and making the funds available to facilitate it. The office plans to continue cross-training employees to strengthen the Division's ability to greater serve the residents of the Township. The zoning office is involved with all development applications from the initial informal meeting request with applicants through the permitting process. They are also involved in the site inspection and development compliance in concert with the engineering, fire code, and building divisions. The zoning officer attends all of the Zoning Board of Adjustment meetings and writes reports on the small bulk applications for the members to review. The zoning office permit fees are $75 for principal structures and $50 for accessory structures. The zoning office issued 1,341 permits in 2019, bringing in a total of $86,130. That concludes my report for the zoning office. Okay, that opening it takes 1 second. The closing that takes, okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'll open it to the council for any questions on the zoning presentation. Hearing none, close council. Opening to public on any questions regarding the zoning presentation only. Hearing none, close public. And I will go back to Ms. Bergen for the Division of Inspections budget.
No, it's great. I got confused. I got wires and stuff. Okay, here we go. Taking my IT hat off, now putting on the hat as Dan Newman.
There you go.
All right, so last budget presentation for the night is Division of Inspections, which I am presenting on behalf of Dan Newman, our construction official. Dan would like to thank Mayor Ducey, Council President Craig, Council Vice President Halloran, and council members. And his report tonight is the request for inspections as well as code enforcement. The Division of Inspections is empowered to enforce the New Jersey Adopted Uniform Construction Code as well as local ordinances related to property maintenance and the occupancy or reoccupancy of rental units. The Division, therefore, has 2 budgets, one dedicated to the enforcement of the Uniform Construction Code, which is Budget 195, and one dedicated to the municipal code enforcement of our property maintenance code and rental inspections, which is Budget 196. The purpose of the Uniform Construction Code is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people. Also, the code is designed to encourage innovation in construction, including the use of modern technical methods and the elimination of obsolete construction regulations that increase the cost of construction. The number of permits issued in 2019 was 3,241, with an additional 905 permit updates for a total of 4,146 permits. The number of inspections performed in 2019 was 18,720. The portion of the division staff dedicated to the enforcement of the UCC in 2020 includes 8 full-time clerical positions that include permit intake personnel, inspection scheduling, and plan review. These folks are the frontline staff that deals with the public and contractors on a daily basis and do a great job. I second that. We have restructured our permit process and made significant progress in terms of communicating with applicants in regards to the status of permits and providing windows for inspections. The department also has a part-time employee who assists with filing permits. The inspection staff includes, in terms of building subcode, a full-time subcode official, 2 full-time building inspectors, 1 part-time building inspector who primarily performs plan review 1 or 2 nights per week as needed, usually no more than 5 hours a week. In the plumbing mechanical section, our construction official serves as a plumbing subcode official, and there are 2 full-time plumbing inspectors. In terms of electrical, we have 1 full-time electrical subcode official, 2 full-time electrical inspectors, 1 full-time electrical inspector, and 2 part-time electrical inspectors. In fire, we continue to utilize the services provided through a shared service agreement with the Fire Bureau to provide fire inspection and plan review services. We also have a part-time elevator inspector. Much of the revenue from permit fees is based on the value of construction of the projects undertaken in the township. The value of construction for 2019 was $89,740,000 $740 and $16. $740 and $16.
That's weird. That's a harder amount to say.
Is that right?
140 and 40,000, $16.
Yeah, it's not 16. It's not 2 zeros in a row. So bear with me, public. All of you callers that are turning through this presentation. The revenue generated by the permit fees was $2,239,288. Additional revenue from items such as penalties, ongoing inspections of public swimming pools, variation applications, and yearly testing of backflow detection devices brought a grand total for revenue to $2,533,428. The expenditure for salaries in the 2019 budget was $1,354,364.44. Due to retirement in 2019, we anticipate needing a slightly less than this line item. Therefore, we are requesting $1,330,000 in the budget for 2020. We expended a total of $52 million.
Nope, you're right.
$52,000, I'm sorry. Where are my glasses? $26.87 in overtime. We're requesting $65,000 for 2020, which is $10,000 less than we requested last year. Our operating expense request is decreasing by 5% to $101,275. There are a few items that Dan would like for me to point out to the council. In line item 204, we expended $398, but are requesting $1,000 for 2020. This line item is for training and conferences. This line item is primarily used for the Building Safety Conference. In 2019, scheduling conflicts prevented the building subcode official and Dan from attending the conference. The two of them and at least one of our clerical staff intend to attend this year. The date of the conference has been postponed, and we are awaiting a new date in the fall of 2020. Line item 224 uniforms, we expended $506.86. We used this line item to purchase shirts for the staff. This year we wish to purchase jackets with the Township logo. Therefore, we are increasing that line item to $750 based on the cost of the jackets. When an inspector arrives at a home, they carry ID cards, but wearing items like jackets and shirts that help them identify as Township employees help place the residents at ease. Line item 243, we spent $2,013.96. However, we are requesting a reduction to $1,000. The code change cycle ended September 3rd, 2019. New codes are adopted every 3 years. The new editions of the codes have been purchased. The $1,000 will be used as needed for additions to any standards that are referenced in the code. For line item 246, protective clothing, in 2019 we requested $500 but spent $325. In 2020, our budget request is reduced to $200. Many of the items purchased last year, like hard hats, will last multiple years. We do not anticipate needing as much for this line item in 2020. Line item 253, office materials, also has a significant change. We spent $4,724.34 in 2019, but are only requesting $2,500 in 2020. This line item is used for office equipment, including office chairs, file cabinets, etc. The largest expense in 2019 was the replacement of a broken supply cabinet. In 2020, we are anticipating only needing 4 office chairs. Code enforcement, property maintenance, rental inspections, budget 196 is also under our construction officials' duties. The purpose of the municipal code is to protect the quality of life of our residents and ensure property owners provide safe housing when their units are rented. Our code enforcement staff includes 4 full-time inspectors and 1 part-time inspector. Supervisory help continues to be provided by our zoning officer. In addition, 1 clerk is assigned to the Code Enforcement Office to provide support for the inspectors and to carry out clerical functions. The Code Enforcement Permit Clerk deals with in-person and telephone complaints, passes those on to the Code Enforcement Officer for that zone, and logs all activity. Code Enforcement Officers conducted 1,124 rental inspections in 2019. Fees collected in 2019 for rental inspections totaled $126,500. This is a decrease of 7% from the fees collected in 2018. The inspectors also investigate properties based on complaints or spot check of properties. These inspections generated 3,192 violation notices for violations of the municipal code. No overtime was used in 2019. Considering the lack of expenditure for overtime, it was appropriate to reduce the budget request for overtime by 50%. The request has been reduced to $5,000. It is still important to have money in this line item in case of emergencies. The request for operating and expenses for the 2020 budget is $152,425, which is a decrease from 2019 of $500. There is an increase in line item 224 for uniforms. As with budget 195, we discussed already, this line item is used for shirts or other identifying clothing. We are requesting $500 for 2020 to allow for the purchase of jackets. Line item 253 is being reduced from a request of $500 in 2019 to only $150 in 2020. The $500 request was in anticipation of needing canned smoke to test smoke detectors. However, technology has advanced. Early in 2019, a new type of smoke detector became available and was required. Smoke detectors are now required to have a sealed 10-year battery, eliminating the 9-volt battery that needed yearly replacement. Testing with smoke is no longer the best method of testing a smoke detector. The 2020 request is to be used to purchase ground fault circuit interrupter testers. The request for line item 256, printing and binding, is also being reduced from last year. In the last year and continuing forward, we are using more online forms. We are also generating computer certificates via computer rather than having them pre-printed. This enables the request to be reduced from $1,000 to $800. Again, Dan would like to thank you for this opportunity to present his budget request. This department looks forward to another year of supporting and assisting our residents. That includes my report for the Division of Inspections and Code Enforcement. When you're ready. Oh, he's not muted. Oh, okay. I can mute it here.
Open to council for any questions regarding the code enforcement presentation. Okay, closed council. Open to the public for any questions regarding the code enforcement presentation. Hearing none, closed public. Thank you, Ms. Bergen.
You're very welcome.
Good job. And we're going to move on now to the introduction of the 2020 municipal budget, and the mayor will speak to that.
Thank you, Council President Crate. As discussed at the beginning of the meeting when I spoke earlier, we must continue services as a township entity, and this budget is what funds those services. That's why we must move forward with the budget process. We must ensure that the services we provide, the police, the sanitation collection, and more, everything that we heard of tonight, that all these things continue. So tonight I present the council with my 7th budget as mayor of the Township of Brick. This year's budget totals $106,031,875. Included in this year's budget are the funds we need to provide the services that the residents of Brick Township expect and deserve. The increase in the budget is due in part to increases in the cost of health benefits, pension contributions, solid waste disposal, and wages for police, EMS, and dispatch. The revenue plan that supports this budget includes an increase in the tax levy of $2,274,132, which equals just under 2 cents on the tax rate. So this would equate to an increase in municipal taxes of, for the year, for the average homeowner in Brick, $55.87, which is just a little over $1 a week. This is just for the portion of the tax bill that is controlled by the council and I. The remainder of the tax bill is controlled by other entities that we do not have control over, including the Brick Township Schools and the Ocean County Freeholders. Again, this budget introduction is being done tonight to ensure that our services will continue no matter what the crisis. We are here to serve, and we do so with pride. I would have preferred to have presented this budget to you under different circumstances, not over the telephone or sitting in an empty room. But however, government doesn't stop, and obviously we all must move forward to do our duties. As you know, Joanne Bergen, the business administrator, and I are available for any questions you might have on this year's budget. You have a serious task ahead of you, and I ask all the council people to please carefully go over this budget. Good luck, and to the people of Brick Township, I want them to know the council, the municipal staff, the Brick Township Police Department, and myself will continue to work for them throughout this crisis, and we'll do everything we can to protect them and protect the well-being of our entire community. And thank you, and God bless Brick Township.
God bless.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion and a second on the reading of the 2020 municipal budget?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Minikino. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
That sounded like Councilwoman DeYoung. All right, we are on to the consent agenda. No, we're not. What, are we? What?
We need a roll call.
Oh, I need a roll call. My bad. Sorry. Oh, and I'll do it. So roll call. Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So now we're on to the consent agenda.
Now we are on to the consent agenda.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Okay, and for those of you that are on the phone, I'm just going to repeat what Madam Clerk just said. All matters listed under consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Resolution 7-1, authorize use of Storm Recovery Reserve COVID-19. This resolution authorizes the use of the Township's existing Storm Trust Fund for the purchase of necessary items to protect its residents and employees from COVID-19. The resolution allows the Township to utilize existing funds in its Storm Recovery Reserve for response to the pandemic. A resolution is needed to ensure the specific criteria for the use of these funds includes COVID-19. Resolution 7-2, authorize payment of bills in state of emergency. This resolution authorizes the Township CFO and Business Administrator to make payments on bills that are either routine in nature or under contracts and agreements already authorized by the Township Council, so long as a state emergency remains in place during the coronavirus pandemic. This authorization is in effect in the event the Township Council is unable to meet, cancels, or otherwise delays a meeting where a bill list would be approved. This authority is effective immediately and remains in effect until the state of emergency is canceled or through May 30th, 2020. Resolution 7-3, authorize emergency temporary appropriations. This resolution authorizes emergency temporary appropriations for the municipal budget as needed through the end of May. The resolution allows the Township to increase line item department budgets by the amount specified, which has been calculated to get all departments through to the time of the adopted budget. Resolution 7-4, authorize refund from Police Road Job Account. This resolution authorizes a refund in the amount of $3,360 to the Farm at 511 LLC from the Township's Police Road Job Trust account. No additional services will be required. Resolution 7-5, authorize award of bid, Seasonal Turf Chemical Application Program. This resolution authorizes award of bid for seasonal turf application to Meticulous Landscaping, Waretown. The contract provides for 4 weed control and fertilizer applications per year for approximately 70 total acres per application at 15 locations, including township parks, recreational facilities, and the municipal complex. It begins with an early spring soil test at each location to determine the proper application of each. There is an early and late spring application and an early and late fall application. This is a unit price bid with a cost per application based on the seasonal treatment, not to exceed $55,000 for the 2-year contract period. 25 bidders were notified, of which 8 received bid packages. Bids were received from 4 bidders, with Meticulous Landscaping being the lowest responsible bidder. Resolution 7-6, authorize award of bid landscape maintenance services for Solar Field. This resolution authorizes the award of bid for landscape maintenance services at the Solar Field to A. Guzzo Landscaping, Turnersville, at an amount not to exceed $12,400 per year for the 2-year contract. The scope of work for this project includes a spring and fall mowing, seed mix with fertilizer, hay, topsoil, mulch, vegetation removal, and disposal in riprap areas of approximately 15 acres. 25 potential bidders were notified, of which 11 picked up bid packages. Bids were received from 3 bidders, with A. Guzzo being the lowest responsible bidder. Resolution 7-7, authorize award of bid resurfacing and drainage improvements to North Lake Shore Drive, Nassau Street, and Duquesne Boulevard intersections. This resolution authorizes the award of bid for resurfacing and drainage improvements to North Lake Shore Drive, Nassau Street, and Duquesne Boulevard to Earl Asphalt Company, Farmingdale, in the amount of $540,613.13. The major work item to be completed under the scope consists of roadway milling and resurfacing and remediating settling intersections along Duquesne Boulevard. Bid notices were sent to 68 prospective bidders from our bidders list, and 7 picked up bid packages. 3 bids were received with prices ranging from $540,613.13 to $548,913.85. Resolution 7-8, authorize award of bid, purchase, and delivery of doors and ballistic doors. This resolution authorizes the award of bid for the purchase and delivery of doors and ballistic doors to Mosine Hollow Metal and Hardware, Lakewood. This is, this is a unit price bid with a not-to-exceed amount of $45,000 per year. Bid notices were advertised in the Asbury Park Press and the Township website. 4 potential bidders picked up bid packages, and 1 bid was received. Resolution 7-9, authorization to rescind contract and award purchase and delivery of sign materials. This resolution authorizes the acceptance of Lytle Enterprises of Ohio's request to rescind the bid for their purchase and delivery of sign materials in its entirety. As a result, this resolution also authorizes award of various items to the next lowest bidder based on the schedule of prices and various materials. Resolution 7-10, authorize award of proposal, engineering services for design of ADA improvements to Windward Beach Park. This resolution authorizes the award of proposal for engineering services for the design of ADA improvements at Windward Beach Park to Mazer Consulting. This project will be funded by the 2019 HUD CDBG program. The Township's Planning Department received 9 responses to the request for proposals. Staff utilized the CDBG rubric to score each proposal. Mazer Consulting scored the highest at 95 points. Staff is confident that Mazer will provide an excellent designed product based on the proposal submitted and recommend the contract award at an amount not to exceed $50,000. Resolution 7-11, authorize award of contract, insurance broker. This resolution authorizes the award of contract for insurance broker to 2 firms. The first, Fairview Insurance Agency Associates, Verona, as insurance broker consultant for the employees and retirees medical prescription, stop loss, and temporary disability insurance. The second, Capital Benefits, Fairfield, as insurance broker consultant for the employees and retirees dental, vision, and COBRA insurance. This contract will commence on March 25th, 2020, and be in place for the remainder of the year. The service for this contract will be rendered to the broker by the insurance providers. Resolution 7-12, authorize execution of NJDOT jurisdictional agreement. This resolution authorizes the execution of agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation regarding highway maintenance and control of State Highway 35 and adjoining roadways. This agreement was prompted following the reconstruction of State Highway 35 after Superstorm Sandy. It defines the township's and the NJDOT's responsibilities as it relates to the highway and adjoining roads. As with other state roadways, the NJDOT maintains responsibility for their roads, and the township maintains responsibility for any township-owned roadways. That ends the consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Councilwoman Pontorero. I will open it to council for any questions on the consent agenda items only. Hearing none, close council. I will open to public for questions on the resolutions only. Is there anyone from public that would like to comment or question about the resolutions? Okay, hearing none, close public. Roll call. Councilwoman Zapsik?
Yes.
Councilman Minikino?
Yes. Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung?
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero?
Yes.
Vice President Halloran?
Yes.
And yes from me. We are on to Resolution 713, Bill Resolution, Computer 2020.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $18,749,530.49.
Okay, I will open to, can I get a motion and a second on the computer bill resolution?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion from Councilman Minikino, second from Councilwoman Zapsik. Open to council for any questions on the computer bill resolution. Hearing none, close council. Open to the public for questions on the computer bill resolutions only. Okay. Hearing none, close public. Roll call. Councilwoman Zapsik? Hold on. Good? Okay. She said yeah, Councilman Minikino?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung?
Abstain CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumolo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero?
Yes.
Vice President Halloran?
Yes.
And yes for me as well.
Thank you.
Resolution 714, Manual Bill Resolution 2020.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,734,310.56.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion from Councilwoman DeYoung, second from Councilman Mumolo. Open to council for questions. Hearing none, close council. Open to the public for questions on the manual bill resolution only. Okay, hearing none, close public. Roll call. Councilwoman Zapsik?
Yes.
Councilman Minikino?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung?
Abstain CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumolo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero?
Yes.
Vice President Halloran?
Yes.
And yes for me as well.
Thank you.
Okay, we are up to public comment. Madam Clerk?
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
I'm just going to repeat what she said. Please note that any person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code Section 2-33B. So at this time, we will open questions up to the public. Is there anyone from public that has any questions or comments?
Yes, I do. My name is Jim Fosman, 456 Rhode Island Avenue.
Can you just repeat your name one more time?
Jim Fosman.
Okay. Yes.
Okay,
Mr.
my
Fosman.
question is, we have a crisis with the coronavirus. People aren't working. The president's not putting anybody back to work till before Easter. Is the township going to have a resolution to defer our taxes for 30 or 60 days to give everybody a chance to get back to work and get their things together?
Okay, I'm going to defer to the mayor for that. Great.
This is Kevin Stark. Can I answer that?
Or
I did, so I reached out to the governor's office a number of times. There's a conference calls that happen somewhat on a weekly basis, I guess, at this point. And I made that request, and they are considering it, but there's nothing that has been passed yet. So it's only the state can control that. We have no opportunity to control that on a local level. Otherwise, we'd be in favor of it. That's actually in my closing comments about how I'm hoping that they do that. They delay it for a period of time because there's a lot of people that are hurting now, and there's going to be more people hurting later on as far as their income. So hopefully the governor's office comes through for us, and it's really the legislature that has to pass it. And once the legislator passes it, it goes to the governor for signature.
Okay, Mayor, can I ask you another question? Can you, any interest charges if somebody's late with their taxes now, can the township defer that so that people won't get charged on the interest if they're having trouble getting back to work and paying their taxes?
As soon as the legislature is in charge of that, and that's something that we're hoping that they pass and the governor signs. So that's something where we want for our residents for sure.
Okay, and I have another question. You said the taxes are going up per household $55.89. Is that a value of a house at $300,000, or what's the value of a house that's
The average home in brick, I don't remember if it was it might have been $294. I'll have to get that information of what the average home in brick is. It'll take us a second to look that up.
Well, is it around 300,000? Let's say it's between 275 and 300. So a person that owns a $900,000 house, they're going to have about $170 just from the township taxes, not including what's happened with the school. And that's kind of a heavy burden for taxpayers, because if they do 2%, that's going to be around another, it'd be $320 for somebody that owns a house that's $900,000.
Yeah, it comes down to math. Yes, you'd have to do the math, exactly. So you times it, if you're saying 900,000, it would be about 3 times as much. So that would increase it to about 294,100, and it would be about $3 a week. Yes.
And one more question, Mayor. Remember one thing: we're supposed to do more with less. Remember that old saying we used to have? I think you could sharpen your pencil a little bit with this budget and get it down a little bit more to help the people.
We had our department heads took a look at it, and this is what the budget we're able to do. It's a very slight increase. It ends up being less than 2%. I'm sorry, less than 2 cents on the budget, which is again $1.74 per week to maintain all of our services that we have currently. We did ask our department heads, and this is the budget that has been created. It started off a little bit higher. They all had to sharpen their pencils and do a lot of hard work over the last few months, and it's resulted in which is a very, very fiscally sound budget. We don't want to get in the ways of our past, where there would be 0%, and then suddenly a 24%, and then a 14%, and then 11% in the opposite order: 11, then 14, then 24. That's the old days. It's not fiscally conservative, such as I am. So I only like presenting fiscally conservative budgets, so that everybody can maintain the services here in Township.
Mayor, how many new people were hired in the past? Not replacing jobs that are existing, but on top of that. Let's say we had 142 people working for Township, just making up a number. How many more people have you hired in the past 6 months?
You'd have to give me a time period of, in the past 6 months? Is that what you said? I didn't hear what you said.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Past 6 months, it's, there hasn't been anything, no. Replacements.
Additional, Mayor.
Yep, zero, yep. That's the same thing, same question. Zero would still be the answer.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
Anyone else from public with questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question. Vic Finelli.
Okay, Mr. Pinelli, go ahead.
One short question, one comment, and one long question. The short question is, what percent did the budget go up? Can you answer that?
Yeah. Oh. I'm looking at mine. Okay, Ms. Bergen is looking up the percentage. What was your comment?
All right. As you are probably aware, yesterday the governor froze $920 million to put into reserve that would have gone out to all various programs. If you looked at the list, the very first one on there was the homestead rebate. That homestead rebate money would have gone out to the tax offices to help cover the taxes that were due May 1st. So right off the bat, the senior citizens are getting whacked the first ones. If you look further down the list, you'll also see the senior freeze program on there, and that money has been frozen. That hits the seniors a second time. So the very first action he takes hits the seniors 2 times. I don't know whether they're going to stick. Nobody knows, but that's what's happened right now, and that money is out of their pockets as of May 1st. So you need to consider that when you're doing the budget. The last question I had has to do with what we covered at the last meeting, which was the police budget, right? And the fact that you either have approved or are getting ready to approve 4 more additional officers. And my question is, why do we need 4 more officers? And let me go through the history. When I started going to the meetings, we had 125. Now we're up to 145. Then we changed the booking and gave that to the special police so there'd be more officers on the street. Then we hired more special police to do the booking. Then we changed to a 4-day work week so we'd have more police on the street. There was also talk that we were going to change procedures and make more people come into the offices to fill out reports like somebody stole my lawnmower, so an officer wouldn't have to respond out, on all of those calls. The size of the town has not gotten any bigger. The number of people in the town, I'm sure, has gone down, but the census will tell us that. So why do we need 4 more additional police?
You want to come home?
So I think that part of the question, Mr. Finelli, is the number of hired officers and why you feel that we need to go up in the roster. Is that correct?
Yeah, at the last meeting, it was pretty much said that we're going to approve 4 more additional officers. Not replacement, 4 more additional.
Right.
To go up to 149.
Well, I don't believe the number is 149. It might be temporarily while there's retirement paperwork put in. Once an officer has submitted his retirement paperwork through the pension system, the chief will usually start the process to backfill that position, so that the person is hired and trained in here. So there sometimes is overlap with the number, but the council has agreed to up the number on the roster, and this started well over a year ago at the Public Safety Committee, and then it went to the Business and Finance Committee, and so the council as a whole has agreed that because of the tremendous effort underway first with the opioid epidemic and public safety and the drive to do more community policing, that they supported the request to up the roster. So that was a calculated approval by people. So that's how it happened.
Those are very broad statements. You mentioned the opioid, you mentioned public policing. Those are broad statements. And that's a nice thing to do, but the taxpayers have to pay for that. And when you look at hiring 4 officers and run that number out, that's a $500,000 decision. We should be looking at trying to cut the expenses, cutting the budget, but we just keep adding. And like I said, 125 to 145 to whatever it is. When is it going to stop?
Yeah, I appreciate your feedback on that, Mr. Finelli. I can only answer the question. The fact that you don't agree with the answer doesn't change it. But that's the process that brought us to the roster that we have.
It's not that I don't agree. It's that we can't afford it. I mean, you mentioned that the mayor mentioned that the budget went up $2.7 million due to pensions, due to health care costs, and due to other things. Well, you're driving those numbers up every time you hire somebody. Every time you add another policeman, you're driving those numbers up yourself. You're causing the problem that you're stating caused the problem to raise the budget. You do that by hiring people. You do that by what you give them in contracts. Like you mentioned medical costs going up, but then you froze the employees so they didn't have to pay it. So that's all on the taxpayers. The problem that you're talking about is problems that you are causing by your actions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Finelli. Is there anyone from public?
You didn't answer. You didn't answer my first question. What is the percentage that the budget went up?
Yeah. So the percentage, Maureen will give you a call tomorrow with that number. You or the mayor don't know what percentage the budget went up? You don't know that right now?
No.
Maureen will give you a call tomorrow. Thank you.
That answer is unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Is there anyone else from public? Anyone else from public? Hearing none, close public. And we will go to council comments. Ms. Bergen?
Nothing further for me tonight. Thank you.
She's on, Councilwoman.
All right. Mayor? Yes. Oh, right. I jumped to you, correct. I'm sorry. Oh, right.
Okay, thank you. Just a few things. So everybody knows that the governor's doing these executive orders. So as part of those executive orders, the only 2 things he gave counties and municipalities, and therefore mayors, control over, there's only 2 things. One is temporary rentals, and the other one is parks. So in that regard, as far as Township, we made the decision to keep all of our parks open, with the exception of any of the the playgrounds, the basketball hoops, the skate parks. All those types of activities are all shut down, and that's because obviously those all call for social gathering of many people. With people sitting or sliding down the slides and sitting on the swings, and then somebody else sitting on the same swing and that type of thing. So all those are shut down, but our parks are open. So go out there and get some exercise, get the vitamin D. That's one of the things that's supposed to be helpful with this with just keeping healthy in general. So a number of things I did ask for. I did ask for a postponement on tax payments. Requested that of the state. Actually, I talked about that already. There was a question on that. Also, a moratorium on payment of cable bills and other utility bills. So hopefully, something can happen with regards to that as well to help residents out. I did request a limit of 50 people only being allowed in our stores. I know some of our food stores have had hundreds of people going down these aisles and reaching over people and then standing in line to pay for the groceries and all. And it just seems ridiculous. We had an order at one point for 50 or less, and now it's down to 9 or less. Obviously 9 or less in a store such as ShopRite is too little, but I did make that request. It fell on deaf ears. They said that they're not considering it at this time. I also requested a temperature check at stores before somebody goes in. So if the temperature is above that 99.7 magic number that they say is out there, that the person would not be allowed in the store to keep everybody else healthy, even though it might just be a fever, but who knows? Again, that they're not at that point yet, they say. I did notify the governor of concerns of large gatherings in our neighboring town. And I was told that the Lakewood police is breaking up any of those large gatherings and charging people criminally. And I know the Lakewood police chief did a letter/press release about that and gave specific incidents that occurred last week. I did want to give an update. Ocean County does have 200 cases with 1 death. In Brick Township at this time has 14 cases of coronavirus with 0 deaths. And also, everybody, think of your neighbors. I'm staying away from my mom. I last saw my mom on March 14th, and I told her at that time I'm not going to see you for a few weeks. But we call every now and then with my son Jack and talk to her still. So please keep in mind your elderly relatives, let alone neighbors as well, but relatives that you may not be seeing for a while, but you want to keep their spirits high by doing FaceTime if they have the capability. Or just calling them and having them speak to the grandkids, or just to hear your voice would be nice. Also, try and keep small businesses alive, ordering takeout or delivery from them. Delivery and pickup services are available for food stores as well, but they're way in advance. If you're thinking about ordering food, order it now. And there are volunteers out there who will pick up for you. If you do the pickup option, you pay for it online, you order it online. You pick the pickup option, there are volunteers that are available to pick up that food for you. So everybody just keep safe, keep up with the social distancing, stay in your houses if you can. I'm saying that as I'm sitting here in Town Hall. I understand that. But for whatever reason, the state mandated that these budget hearings go on. So I do come here to Town Hall. And besides that, I am pretty much in my home with my wife and my son. So we go on walks every day. We take the dog for a walk, and we're out there trying to get some sun and everything. I encourage everybody to try to do the same thing. It's really the only way. It's been proven around the world. The only way to try to, flatten the curve, so to speak, is what everybody's always quoting, is everybody staying to themselves and just being around your immediate family or whoever you immediately live with. Don't go over to the neighbor's house. Don't let your kid go next door and jump around on the trampoline or play basketball with other kids and things like that. And this way, hopefully, we'll see an end to this and get our lives back sooner rather than later. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Starkey, any comments?
No, nothing for me. Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Nothing, thank you.
Madam Secretary?
Nothing.
Councilwoman Zapsik?
Thank you, Council President. I just want to take a moment to thank our first responders, police, EMS, fire, and the healthcare workers who are really on the front lines of this, working diligently to keep us all safe and to help people that are in need of assistance. I would urge all of our residents, as the mayor said, to do your part, to stay safe, stay home, and wherever possible, support our small local businesses. And other than that, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Minikino?
Thank you. I just want to echo what Councilwoman Zapsik said, and please be safe, and that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeYoung?
Yes, thank you. I also want to echo everything that the mayor and Councilwoman Zapsik and Councilman Minikino said. Everybody, please stay safe and wash your hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Mumolo?
Thank you. I don't want to keep repeating, but everybody, please stay safe out there. We're going to get through this. We will. We're a strong country. We're a strong town. And we just want to listen to what the professionals are saying as far as avoiding a lot of crowds, and make sure you wash your hands. That's for me. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Ponzarero.
Thank you, Council President. It's not that difficult to follow the instructions that were being given by our medical experts, by our leaders. It is a sacrifice to, like Mayor Ducey said, not see maybe your own mother, your relatives, but it's essential to limit the spreading of this disease that we do just that. Keep in mind, these are minor sacrifices that we're making for a greater result, which is keep that number of deaths that we have in Brick at a 0. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Halloran.
Thanks. Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to thank Ms. Bergen for taking on the job of doing all the presentations tonight. And I'd like to commend the Mayor and Ms. Bergen on their demonstrated leadership in responsibly implementing critical measures throughout the township to protect our residents and our employees during this dangerous pandemic outbreak. You know, the sooner and the faster we all pay attention to these restrictions and shelter in place and avoid being out in the public and avoid other people, the faster this thing will be over. If we want it to get over with before the summer, do what you're supposed to do now. So that's all I have. Please be safe.
Thank you. And finally, I'd just like to echo the sentiments of the mayor and the council members and give a big shout out to the men and women who are still working every day on the front line, whether you be working in hospitals or at the grocery store or our DPW who's still working and everyone else here in Town Hall and throughout the state. So thank you to all of you who are still going out. And we appreciate that. Also, I want to give a shout out to my fellow teachers who are working very hard from home each day to maintain that contact with their students and maintain those relationships with their students and their families. Your work is greatly appreciated, and I know your students really miss you very much and can't wait actually to get back to school. So I can speak for my children alone. And then finally, I just want to say I look forward to a return to normalcy at some point and seeing people back in our audience and having us all together again so that we can continue to run this town that I'm very proud to be a part of. So safety to everyone, stay healthy. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 14th at 7 p.m., hopefully here in Town Hall. So with that, can I please get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, I'm sorry. Definitely.
We're offline. I shut it off right now.